Hey everybody, I'm Yvonne with Back to Earth Creations, and in this video I want to show you how to make these magical little pixie horns out of polymer clay. So we're going to start by getting our polymer clay conditioned by cutting it up and putting it through our pasta machine. So let's go ahead and get started. So our clay is mostly conditioned, but I do want to get it cranked through so that all of these jagged edges are well incorporated. Do you see how we still have a little bit of splitting there? That's an indicator to me that we need to keep cranking it through the pasta machine. Don't worry about them dog hairs. They'll get in there. You can just pluck them out or leave them in. It'll be fine. It adds character. When I've decided that it's good enough to make these little horns, I've been using this clay cutter because it's all rolled out on the thickest setting on the pasta machine. And so our small horns here just used 1 square each. These larger horns used 2 squares each. And so now I'm just gonna cut out 3 squares. And that's going to be 1 horn, and then I'll cut out another 3. And you could do this however meticulously or haphazardly as you would like. I'm a little messy about it, but we would just peel that up, fold and roll this back through the pasta machine when we want to do some more. But we're going to start with just our 3 little squares. Z-Dog's getting into his chair, but there are 3 little squares of polymer clay. So here I have, this is a cannonball. You don't have to use this. You could use a gemstone sphere or anything like that. Just something round is what I like because it gives a nice little shaping to the bottom of our horn. It's very, very subtle, but I like the way it fits onto my head better than just a flat surface. And I also really like the texture that we get from the cannonball. So now that our clay has been well conditioned, it's rolled out to a uniform thickness, and we've rolled it into a ball. I'm going to get both pieces rolled into a ball. We're going to, please pardon my messy work surface. This is just life now. I'm going to roll this out, and at a little bit of an angle, I'm going to take this and just roll so that it makes a point. And I'm going to do that same thing on the other one. And just practice. You'll get there. These are probably, I'm not going to lie, these are like the best match I've ever made in my whole life. So, yay. But I'm just going to plop them onto our ball here. And using my finger and thumb of one hand and my first finger of the other hand, I'm going to press and shape the base. And then I'm just going to mirror it on the other side. So on this side, I want that pinching together. And you can see that gives a pretty nice little pinch on the back. This one we could pinch much sharper. This is my favorite thing about using a ball in a, this is like a jade bangle. Use what you got on hand, you guys, or what you've got on hand. You could also make like a really cute little polymer clay base for it probably. But just pinching my finger and thumb together and shaping up and around. So I mean, those are just kind of cute already. I think we can take, this is my favorite tool for this. Links to all the tools and materials are down in the video description below. And I'm just going to roller pin this down. And this is going to make almost too good of an adhesion to our sphere, to our base. That's okay. What I want to accomplish here is excellent shaping. Do you see how there's like an undercut right there on the tip? I don't want that. I want this to be nice and making good contact all the way around, because the more surface area we have for our horns to glue to our head, the better they're going to hold on. Now, you could do yours any way that you like. I'm just trying to explain why I'm doing what it is that I'm doing, or at least the thought process behind it, because sometimes the reason why I think I'm doing something is like purely placebo. It's like, okay, yeah, that's a cute concept, but it's not really doing that. It just makes me feel good. So, which that's fine too. If we're not having fun when we're crafting, what's the point? And so now, before doing too much sculpting at all, we're just going to lift that off, and you can see that wonderful texture and that wonderful cupping. And so now we're going to place the horns back on. And if we want to make them a little more squished and flat, this is the smaller size, because I wanted to make a nice like gradient in size up. So I just want to make sure that they're not too tall, and if they are, just pinching and pressing down. Now I like to work on them both at the same time. That way I do one step to one side, and then I do the other step to the other side. This also works perfectly for making like little talons for in the tip of a glove. You could change the shape a little bit, or you could shape it so that it sits onto your fingernail to make like a little finger cap if you wanted. That would be really cool and fun. Stay tuned for future tutorials where I make some little like crazy like dragon fingertips out of clay. That'd be fun. And now we're just gonna take this, and I need to be a little firmer. It's a cold day, so my clay's set up pretty quick, but I am pressing and just putting some lines. I'm supporting from the back side, so just pressing and dragging down. And now I'm just going to do this on the one side, and then we'll put it into like fast forward speed and finish the rest of it. But once I've done the little, it's like if you look at horns or spikes or claws, and sometimes they'll have like little growth lines, and that's what I'm trying to do here. And so you can put in whatever design that you like. And then once I've done that, I like to come in with the tip of, again, just the same tool, and stipple. And I do it much more lightly as I move up our horn. And then down here at the bottom, we're going to do it much more deeply, because whenever we put the dye on this, or not the dye, it's just acrylic paint, but you can use whatever you like. The deeper the hole, the dot, the stipple, the more paint it's going to hold. So this one's a pretty good example, perhaps. As you can see, I didn't do some of them deep enough to hold any, but then some of them I did deep enough that they held a lot. And I'm also not very good at painting these. I hope that the more that I practice, the better I will get. And that's just the way things are with crafting. But we got to be patient with ourselves and be patient with the project. And if it's something that we're having fun with and it feels like play, then the practice feels like play. Like it doesn't feel like work to be getting better. And that's usually a good sign to me that this is a craft that, yeah, I can give myself to this craft for a while and really get into it and enjoy it, because it doesn't feel tedious. Like, I love crocheting, except for when I'm crocheting, because it can really start to feel tedious sometimes. But I think that's just because I'm trying to do projects that are way past my like skill level. And so I'm not having as much fun as what I would if I were doing a simpler project. So hopefully that's helpful somehow. But we're going to go through, let's pop it into some fast forward, and I'm just going to continue doing the sculpt on this, and I'll meet you guys back here for the next step. So we're finishing up the last little bit of adding the stippling, and I try to make sure that I'm doing a little bit of like a random scatter plot with the way that I'm applying my stipples. So not only am I doing deeper down towards the base and lighter pressure towards the tip, but I'm also like, it's a higher density of stippling down here at the base and a lower density as we get towards the tip. And that may not be super evident right now, but hopefully it will become more clear whenever we get closer into, you know, like the painting stage. Gosh, and you could use like a ball stylus or the end. Here, we're gonna add some bigger details on these ones because they're bigger horns. So let's flip it around, and I'm just gonna use the end of our tool here. And you can see, since it's flat on the tip, it leaves a different shape than if we were to use just a ball stylus. And so I'm going to, oh yeah, I like that texture. Yes. And the magic happens in the details. So the more texturing that we apply to our horns, the more the paint and all that texture, and like the more the paint and highlights and stuff are really going to pop. So don't forget to just have fun with it. It is not the end of the world. It's not like we're making this out of 14 karat gold. Like we can just have fun and be chill, and they're just wonky little horns. If they come out super gooby, I don't know, set them on fire and bury them in the backyard, salt the bones. Like this is even, all of this clay that we rolled out was like not even an entire block of polymer clay. So I'm not saying be wasteful, but just give yourself some grace and room to play and be bad at it. Like, if you mess it up, just squish it up and go again. Even if you've put paint on it, even if we get to the next step, which is the mica pigment. Did I do all the sides? I don't remember. And that's very loud. I'm sorry. This is just life now. Okay, yeah, that's looking pretty good. So the next step is we're going to take, I lost it. We're going to take our mica pigment, which is, let me find it. I'm using the Antique Bronze Prolex powder. And I'm just going to take some. This is a doe foot paintbrush. You can use any paintbrush, but I like this one because I started using it with mica pigments a few years ago, and I've just kept up with that. So I'm going to rotate this around, and I'm going to apply just at the bottom first, and then I start dragging kind of up and across. And we can always add more pigment. You could also use eyeshadows or, you know, all sorts of different things, but I like to use Pearl-X pigments mostly because they're what I already invested in. And also I've had some issues with, over the years, things that I have used eyeshadow on, it didn't maintain its color. Now shimmers typically hold up pretty well, but if there's a crafter, there's a way. And so we're just swiping across the bottom and then swiping up. You'll pick up a little bit more pigment. There we go. And then I am going to bake these for about 30 minutes. I may do these ones for a little longer. I might do them for 40 because of how large they are. I want to make sure that they get cured all the way into the core in a preheated oven. It's very important to use a preheated oven because you don't want it to scorch. And oftentimes ovens will blast the temperature to get it up to, you know, up to 275 as quickly as possible. And that's whenever, if I put the clay in before the oven's ready, that's when it gets burnt. Otherwise, I've forgotten projects, like missed the timer or whatever and left stuff in there for like an hour and a half before, and it didn't scorch. It was a little darker in color, but it was okay. But man, not if I put it in too early. So, and I just use my regular home gas oven that I cook my regular food in because I'm bad, I guess. I don't know. There's a lot of folks who like to use specific toaster ovens for their clay work and stuff, but I do a lot of big projects that I just couldn't fit into a toaster oven. So I figure it'll be what it is. But yeah, so those are ready. We can do some final shaping. And the way that I bake this is I'm just going to press and lift, and you see that wonderful, is that concave or convex, the little cuppy-inny part? I'll just set it very gently onto a glazed ceramic tile and bake it. So I'll see you guys for the next step. Alrighty, y'all. So I forgot that we were supposed to get this part of the video. So I had already painted all of the horns, but that's okay. I sculpted a fresh pair just for you. And you can hear my cat meowing in the other room. She's already been fed. She's just dramatic. And I'm going to get a little bit of acrylic paint onto my brush. I'm using this multi-surface satin by Folk Art. If y'all have any recommendations of what to use instead, I'd love to hear that. And these are still a little warm, the horns from the oven. So I've just dipped it in a little bit of water, and I'm just coming through and kind of scrubbing it into all of those details that we have made. And then I'm going to take a paper towel and kind of immediately wipe a lot of it off. You can see it really, man, that's almost too much paint. But that's okay. This is where we come in. I like to come in with my 99% isopropyl alcohol. And I just get a little bit onto a pad of paper towel. And then check this out, you guys. You can tell it's handmade because of the fingerprints in the clay. And then I start at the tip, and then I just kind of scrub and work my way down. And I just love how that looks. And you can remove even more. It all depends on the look that you're going for. And you can also always add a little bit more pigment back on. But I think that one's going to be, I mean, look at the difference that makes. And I think it gives it such a cool, like, antique bone color too. So now we're going to do this. I do one horn at a time because that paint dries on quick. And the longer the paint's been dried on there, the harder I have to scrub and struggle with the rubbing alcohol. So now I'm going to come in and just wipe that off. Weep, weep, wipe. There we go. I do like to wear gloves for this just to keep my hands clean, but that's not super necessary. But we also still do not have running water just yet, so if I'm able to cut back on having to get paint on my hands, then I'm gonna do that. Ooh, just wiping off some of that. This is so fun to me. And the mica pigment still stays pretty well because it's been baked into the clay. And now from here, we do have some options that we can leave it just exactly as it is. Let me go ahead and get the caps on my bottles so that I don't knock anything over or let anything dry out. And then I need to wash my brush. But you could make a pair shiny if you want. I personally absolutely love the matte finish on the horns, but I'm actually going to show you, we'll varnish this unicorn horn because I think that needs to be shiny. So just so you can see the concept. So using, yeah, this brush is still good. I'm just going to hold on. Oh, I'm getting dirty fingerprints. Uh-oh. There we go. So I'm just going to dip into the varnish, and I don't want to just glob it on because I don't want to get bubbles. And I also don't want to have any heavy spots that might not dry fully. So a nice thin, even layer. And you'll want to do this, the reason I'm not demonstrating it on the horns is because the paint's not dry. Before I varnish, I usually try to let things dry at least overnight, just to be good and certain. And it's because I'm an impatient person, and if I don't make myself just go to sleep, then I'll be like, it's dry enough, and it won't be. And then, I mean, it's not the end of the world when that happens. It's just a matter of, it might lift the paint out of the cracks and drag it through the rest of the varnish. So I'm using the Sculpey Gloss Glaze right now. I've seen folks have great success with painting on UV resin, with Mod Podge hard coat, but let me know which varnish is your favorite to use with polymer clay. And then, yeah, just going to make sure that there's no gloopy bits, and then I'm just going to set it down. And it gives such a high shine to the piece. Cleaning my brush, cleaning my brush. I'm really bad about cleaning my brush. But that's okay, because I did it this time. There we go. Yay! So that now we're done. I'm going to let these dry completely, and then I'll be able to show you a true side-by-side of with the varnish and without the varnish, and then we'll glue them on. Okay, so our horns are sculpted, our horns are baked and painted and sealed if you're into that. And so the next step is to glue them onto your head. Now you could also set a magnet in the bottom or a hair clip. With the magnets, I like that for like sandwiching it onto a wig or something. I'd have gone with something a little larger than this and in a different color for my hair color, just to, I like big horns. But you could just hot glue them directly to a headband. There's so many different, you could drill a hole and put an elastic on it. It's all based on how you want to wear your horns. I like gluing mine to my forehead because I'm blessed with some free real estate up here. I got like a 5 head, but that's okay. And so you could prep the area. Like if you're wearing a lot of foundation or something, you might want to, or like sunscreen. I like to prep the area with like an alcohol wipe first, just to remove any oils and makeup or lotions off of your skin, and that's going to help you to get a really good connection. Especially we do that whenever we're doing like hanging out at music festivals or something, and we're going to be doing a lot of sweating. First thing in the day, we'll come through and we will paint. I've just dipped, this is some spirit gum, which is copal resin, like dissolved in alcohol basically, but you could also use Prozaid. I've seen people successfully use eyelash glue. And so I've just dipped it and bloop, bloop, bloop. And we are going to have these horns up for sale on our website, backtoearthcreations.com. We will be selling them out of our booth as well. And we have a list of our different vending events that we'll be at the bottom of our homepage on our website, backtoearthcreations.com. And so a little goes a long way. So I literally just dip it, swipe it. Ooh, that was a little... It kind of flung some, but and then just bloop, bloop, bloop. The first layer, like the first application, sometimes I have to just let it dry and then apply it again. And that way it'll stick better. But I'm going to want to let this dry out a little bit, because if I stick it directly to my forehead before letting it get like kind of good and sticky, then it's going to stay wet like all day almost and just like slide down my face. So if you've ever done any leather crafting or foam smithing, and if you've used barge cement, this is very similar in my mind to using barge cement, that it's better to use it a little closer to the drier end than to stick it on wet. But I'm going to not take my own advice and just stick them on wet right now for the sake of getting this video recorded. But just trust me. If anything, sometimes demonstrating how it doesn't work, it can almost be better than showing how it does work. Now, your horn placement is going to be determined by the shape of your horns, the shape of your head, where your preferences are. I move my forehead quite a bit sometimes, so it can be a little tricky for me getting these smaller ones on here, but it'll be okay. So experiment before you need to be dressed and ready with horn placement, and just test and see what you like and where. You can kind of squirch them around a little bit before it's completely dry. And then if we were at an event where I'm going to be sweaty, I would just sit like this in front of a fan to keep me from sweating. Like I'm thinking of when we're doing like outdoor camping events and stuff. And I am just going to, with a relaxed face, let this set up. Because if I'm talking and stuff, they'll wiggle around and fall off. I want it to be like Zen time. And that is how you glue on your horns. So there we go. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Charging my horns in the sunshine. It is so bright and horrible. I love it. Ow. Okay, so I'll descend into the closet with me. Now I'm in the closet too. So yeah, just to give you an idea, that's how they look glowing in the dark. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me during this video. I really do hope that it was helpful to you. If you have any comments, questions, or ideas, leave them down below. I really love hearing from y'all. And be sure to sign up for our free newsletter at backtoearthcreations.com that has like our schedule of events, and all the links to everything should be down in the video description and in the pinned comment if I can remember to do that this time. I'm trying to do better, but it's okay. 1% improvement every day or something like that should get us where we're going. But I think that's everything. Thank you guys again so much. I've had such a fun time making these horns, and I will see y'all in our next tutorial. So until then, happy crafting. Bye.